You've probably seen all the exciting headlines about Gemini 4, right? But here's the thing. The reality is, there is no official Gemini 4 model. So I spent hours digging through Google's own documentation to separate the facts from the rumors. And honestly, what I found is way more interesting than all the speculation. Let's break it all down.
So let's just ask the question right up front. Is Gemini 4 a real thing that we can go out and use today, or is it mostly just hype? We really need to be clear about what's actually confirmed versus what's just, internet noise.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off with the single most important fact. If you go to Google's official API page, the source of truth, there is zero mention of Gemini 4. No model, no endpoint, nothing. That right there is a reality check, and it's the starting point for this whole investigation.
So, if we want to figure out where Google is going, we have to look at where they've been. Their release history isn't just a boring list of dates, it's a story. It's a trail of breadcrumbs that gives us some really powerful clues about what's coming next.
Just take a look at this timeline. You can see a super clear pattern emerging. It starts with the multimodal foundation of 1.0, then shifts to the mixture of experts in 1.5, and then you get to the controllable reasoning in 3.0. See? Each major release is deliberately building on the last one. This is a very calculated evolution. So with version 1.5, we saw this huge shift to what's called a mixture of experts architecture. Basically, the model gets really smart about routing tasks to little specialists inside itself. This means it can achieve incredible results without having to fire up all its engines at once. It's all about working smarter, not harder. And that focus on efficiency is a huge theme for Google. And then, with Gemini 2.0, things got really wild. We entered what they call the agentic era. This was a massive leap. We went from an AI that just talks about doing things to an AI that can actually do them. It can use tools. It can run code. It has agency. And that fundamentally changes the game. Now, to put the power of the current model into perspective, Gemini 3.1 Pro can handle a 1 million token context window. A token is basically a piece of a word. So this is like feeding the AI an entire novel and then asking it incredibly detailed questions about it. The amount of information it can process at one time is just insane. And it's not just about what it can take in, right? The output is equally mind-blowing. It can generate a response that's literally the length of a novella, so it can create some incredibly detailed, super long-form content. Okay, so we've looked at the history. Now it's time to connect the dots. When you trace that whole evolution, you start to see three really distinct threads that point directly to what the next generation of Gemini is almost certainly going to be about. So, here's what we can expect from Gemini 4. First, they're going to double down on efficiency with architectures like mixture of experts. Second, they're going to give us even more control over how the model thinks. And third, and this is the big one, they're going to focus on making it a true digital agent that can actually do stuff for you through these agentic workflows. All right, now for the really fun part. I told you there's no official model, but that doesn't mean the name isn't out there. I actually found a stealth clue hiding in plain sight, buried deep inside Google's own ecosystem. This is where the story gets super interesting. The label Gemini 4 isn't just speculation. It's already documented. It's not where you'd expect to find it at all, but it is there in black and white from an official source. And here it is. This is the smoking gun. Buried deep inside the developer documentation for Google Cloud's Document AI, there's a model version string that literally says, layout parse Gemini 4. Now, let's be super clear. This does not mean a full Gemini 4 model is out there, but it is definitive proof that the name is already being used inside Google's development teams. That's not a rumor, that is a documented fact. So, if the name is already floating around internally, the next logical question is, when can we realistically expect a public announcement? Let's go back to Google's own release history and build a timeline based on their patterns, not on hype. If you look at their big flagship releases, a really clear annual cadence just pops right out. Gemini 2.0 dropped in late 2024, Gemini 3.0 in late 2025. You don't have to be a data scientist to see the pattern here. Following that logic, a flagship release for Gemini 4 in late 2026 is a very, very plausible prediction. And hey, when it does finally launch, don't expect the floodgates to just open for everyone all at once. Google has a very clear playbook for this stuff. They'll probably tease it at Google I/O, then do a staged rollout for developers, and almost certainly keep the most powerful modes locked behind ultra subscriptions. It's how they manage the insane demand and scale responsibly.
But of course, Google isn't building any of this in a bubble. The competition from OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, it's absolutely fierce. So we need to zoom out for a second and understand why this release is so critical in the larger AI race.
Even with all those strong competitors, Google has two massive, almost unfair advantages. First is distribution. I mean, Gemini is already baked right into Google search. And second is vertical integration. It's woven into their entire cloud and enterprise ecosystem. That one-two punch of incredible reach and a super sticky product suite is incredibly powerful.
But with all of this incredible power comes massive, massive responsibility. As these models become more autonomous, the stakes get so much higher. We have to talk about safety.
And let's be really clear about what we mean by higher stakes. Look, a chatbot getting a fact wrong, that's annoying, but an autonomous AI agent hallucinating while it's writing code for your company's infrastructure, that's a full-blown crisis. The more agency we give these models, the more we absolutely have to be able to trust them.
Now, to their credit, Google has been pretty transparent about all this. Their frontier safety framework is actively monitoring really high-risk domains, stuff like cybersecurity and even chemical or biological threats. And their model cards openly talk about the limitations, like hallucinations and other vulnerabilities. This kind of honesty is actually a crucial part of developing this tech responsibly.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, from the tech evolution to the business strategy to the really serious safety concerns. So let's bring it all together and just summarize what we actually know versus what we can reasonably expect.
So here is the bottom line. Let's lay it out nice and simple. The documented facts are there's no official Gemini 4 model today. But yes, the name does exist internally at Google. The key technology trends are all about efficiency, agency, and control. And based on all their past patterns, our best inference is a late 2026 release that builds on these ideas and comes with even stricter safety standards.
And all of this leaves us with one final and, I think, crucial question to think about. As we move deeper and deeper into this new era of autonomous AI, what should we value the most? Is it just the raw power and capability of the model? Is it the transparent safety documentation? Or is it how well it's integrated into the tools we use every single day? That's the real debate that's going to shape our future.